So this talk is something completely different from most tech talks you'll see at technology conferences like this one. This talk is aligned with how people work together. What does collaboration look like when it's working? What does it look like when it's not working? And what can somebody do about it in those situations? The stories that I try and tell, and by the way, stories are the most important part of everything I talk about in this talk. The stories I tell are about real life situations where I can show you how certain moderators in behavior can inform a better environment where people can collaborate in a more healthy and powerful way. Now that sounds like a lot of consultancy speak. So let's drill it down to what I mean by that. I've actually got a number of what I call modulators that I work towards. These are things that I have in mind. And I apply sort of complexity theory to this because I see the way that people work on software systems, it's a complex socio-technical environment. So that nature of that environment means we can't just go in and go, do this differently and it will be better. Because if we do, we're completely context ignorant and usually you do more harm than good. So what I do is I take these moderators, these modulators that are things I like to tell more stories in my life about. These modulators are grit, they are residuality, they are anti-fragility, they're psychological safety, they're empathy. Together, those sound pretty much like a shopping list of consultancy and coaching jazzy terms. But because they are just modulators, they're the things I take each of those and I say, what stories do I want in my life and my interactions with my colleagues in my teams? What stories do I want more of that are related to those things? And what stories do I want less of? And so what I do is I adopt different skills and behaviors based off of each of these modulators to get me to a point where I'm telling more stories about how people were resilient, how people were supportive, how I affected someone else in a positive way, how empathy informed a particular set of interactions. Now, I learned all these lessons through probably one of the biggest incidents in my life, and I want to be careful with the word incident. So I'm a big fan of learning from incidents. I'm also a big fan of learning anyway, but incidents is a particularly powerful way of doing it. When it comes to learning from incidents, the first thing you need to know about an incident is it's a surprise. Incidents can be planned, game days are planned. We come up with these things and go, it might go wrong on this date in this way at this time. And that is sort of an incident, but it's a simulated incident. Most incidents, when we learn the most from them, are surprising. And so if you treat them as surprises, I share in this talk a big surprise in my life that was an incident. And it gave me one of those inflection points where all of those modulators came to the fore. They were the things that got me through that intense experience. That story I tell is very personal, can be a little bit triggering. So before you watch the main video, be a bit careful. It does touch on some very personal, very difficult stories in there. That's on purpose, because that is how we learn when the stories are that powerful. The way I track it back to software engineering is that software engineering is a creative, solution-exploring environment. We're trying to make sense of how we find solutions all the time. Dave Farley's talk at this very conference is right now about that. If that is the stage, then the part we play, the role we play in our theater, if you like, is all around how we collaborate well to come up with those solutions. So because it's a socio-technical system, because people are involved, these modulators I share and these stories I share are absolutely transferable to how you can change your behaviors, how you can consider about working on your own skills to make yourself a much better collaborator. Collaboration being the key to some of the best solutions we can get out of software engineering.